Hi guys, PJ here, and today we are working on another vehicle. This is a Seat Me 2014 model, and we're going to be installing a next base dashboard camera. The dashboard camera is going to be wired to the fuse box of the vehicle, so it goes on and off with the ignition of the car. We're also going to be hiding all the cabling, so you can't see any cables trailing down in front of your window screen, and making it look factory fitted as neatly as possible. First things first, you're going to need to know where your fuse box is on your car. Now, your owner's manual does tell you, but if you don't know, it is right under here. So there's your accelerator pedal. It's up there. So that's a right-hand drive car, right-hand corner, right up underneath the dashboard. Now, when you're doing these installations, there's some handy tools to have. And I would suggest this little array. Here we have some long nose pliers. They're very handy for pulling the fuses out. They can be quite recessed and awkward to get, and the little tool that comes with the car normally is particularly useless. So a pair of long nose pliers. A pair of snips, always handy when you're doing any wiring. Electrical tape for more than one reason, not just for the electrical cables, as you will see. And a plastic leverage tool. This bit's fairly critical. You don't want to be using a metal screwdriver to lever trim. It will make a dint and make a mess of it. So plastic leverage tool, quite a sturdy thing this for levering stuff. These are available off Amazon, eBay. They're about £1. You normally get them in a pack of 2 or 3. Very handy thing to have. Like I say, if you use anything metal, you will damage the car. So you really don't want to do that. A couple of cable ties. Again, always handy to have, and there's a little trick with those. And either a multimeter, such as this, well, one in probably a bit better condition than this, or one of the little test probe screwdrivers that lights up when you tap a live circuit, either of which is fine. As for the camera itself, I highly recommend you buy a fitting kit for the brand of camera. Now, fitting kits come with everything needed to put the camera into the car wired to the fuse box, which includes a main replacement power cable, this particular one being mini USB on the end to fit the next base camera, terminating in an earth cable and a power cable, so just earth to the chassis of the vehicle, and this one to the fuse box. Now, to save you doing any soldering or taping, you get these fuse spurs with the items. Okay, these are available separately, and you can normally get these again off eBay or that type of place. Any electronics company should sell them. They're called fuse spurs, and all they do is double up the socket. So you pull a fuse out the fuse box, there's an accessory position fuse I had, and you push one of these in, and then you've got one fuse to run the camera, which is normally a 2 or a 3 amp, it's 2 amp, and this slot here for the fuse that you pulled out of the fuse box. Now, it goes without saying, you don't use any fuse that's critical, such as airbags, ABS, engine management. You use auxiliary fuses, such as your 12 volt cigarette lighter socket or that type of thing. Anything that goes on and off with the ignition key. We'll be testing that later, and I'll show you what I mean. 2 types of fuse spur. These large ones normally found in commercial vehicles or older vehicles, not really used anymore. Certainly not used on this particular car, so we'll pop that to one side. And the last thing in the kit is a ferrous filter. These pop open, they're on little clips, look, you just sort of pop them open, and what they do, they open up and out. And then you get your power cable, you run it through it, wrap it around it, and then back out again. And that should help with interference on DAB radios. Pretty much only DAB, so if you haven't got DAB, to be honest, it's not going to make any difference. But I'll show you how to wrap that around next. So we've opened it up on its little hinge there, you just clip it apart, put your cable through it, and then, like I say, wrap it round it and back out, as per this. Like so. And clipped back together again on its little locks there. That's all you need to do for that. That bit is done. Now, the next bit basically is something I do because I've been doing these for absolutely donkey's years. Now, most car headlinings are made of a fibre or a cloth substance, yeah, so they're not meant to really support cables and stuff, especially when it's got a magnet on the end of it like this. As soon as you hit one of your big potholes, what's going to happen? The cable's going to drop down in front of your view from above the headlining. That's on a lot of cars. So what I do, normally, measure it up across the top of your window screen. I mean, we're putting this camera to the left of the rear view mirror. So all you do is get your cable ties, wrap them around the cable, like so, and then basically snip the end off, and I normally cover them in electrical tape. Now the reason I do that is because, like I mentioned earlier, your roof lining is normally made of a cardboard type substance, and in theory, over a period of time, the sharp edges that you've snipped off this could rub and make a mess of the inside of the head lining. So it's just to make it a bit softer and padded it out, and it will stop it from falling down. So now we're up at the head lining. Okay, now we're leaving sort of 3 inches or so of cable down so it can plug into the camera nicely. When you're tucking your cable up behind the head lining, the head lining is quite fragile. Do not go at it like a bull in a china shop. Just sort of, you normally put your fingers behind it just a little bit and ease it, and then tuck your cable up along with your cable tie you've wrapped around it all the way along. There's the next cable tie, look. And like I say, the head lining is quite soft, so don't get me wrong, it's easy with 2 hands. Holding the camera and doing it is quite tricky. There we go. All the way along until you get to the pillar just here, and then we'll go from there. So when we get to this corner, this is where you're going to need your leverage tool, yeah? If you just push the rubber to one side, put your leverage tool in, and just make it so it's sort of got a bit of pressure on it, so it gives you a nice little gap at the top. And then you can normally just tuck your cable over the corner here, like so, and tuck it down out of the way. Now, if your vehicle's fitted with airbags here, they normally start from sort of here down, so it's not normally obstructing them at all. And believe me, if an airbag goes off, it will soon move a piece of wire out of the way. Obviously, if it concerns you, and really it shouldn't, you can just tuck the cable under the airbag itself, because the airbag's like floppy and you can just go behind it. But really, I mean, this particular one hasn't even got airbags, so it's not even an issue. Right, so tuck your cable in so you can't see it all the way down, and then follow it all the way down to the corner of the dashboard, right there. Next up, open your driver's door, pop your leverage tool in here, and pop the end panel off. Be aware there is an airbag key here with a cable attached. Don't unplug it, because if you accidentally turn your ignition on, you'll have a warning light on that will need resetting by a garage. So just leave that alone. Like I say, support the weight if you're worried. It's not very heavy, it won't do any harm. And that gives us access to a nice big bolt. Now this bolt here is ideal for an earthing point. And there's our earth cable. Now we've not removed the nuts this particular time. You can do and put it behind it, it's not a big deal. But I had some spare bolts and nuts lying around. So all I've done is use the extended stud and put a nut over the top of it. And yes, the keen-eyed among you will notice I've put a full ring terminal on the end of the earth cable instead of the horseshoe one that comes with it. Just years of doing it and a little bit more secure. So that's a good earth. That'll do the job. Like I say, if you haven't got a nut to put on the end of it, just take the thing out, put a washer behind it, put the terminal on, and then screw it back in again. There's your earth completed. So we're now going to thread the cable down here towards the fuse box. Any excess cabling, we can either cable tie up or sticky tape in a bunch, and we've tucked it neatly down the side, out of the way, round the back here, and down into the crevice. But like I say, we now got the fuse box location, so just move that. There's your power cable coming down into the footwell, ready to go. If I can get the camera angle correct, there, up under here. So we're now going to get our multimeter or our test probe screwdriver with a light in the end and start testing fuses. Now we're going to do this by turning the ignition off and taking the key out, and basically probing, get the camera angle again, struggling. We're basically probing the ends of the fuses. There's little shiny silver bits sticking up on them, and if you touch your probe on the end of them, you'll be able to see what has voltage and what does not. So 0 voltage on the fuse at 7.5 amps, second one in from the end, sandwiched between two 15 amp fuses. If we now turn the ignition on, we'll see if that reads voltage. This is an accessory position fuse. Ignition on, there you go, 12 volts. So if we now turn the ignition off, it should go off again. And yes, it does. So that is a correct fuse to use. Like I say, it's an accessory fuse. That'll be a good one to power your camera from. Now we're going to need to remove that fuse using the long nose pliers or the tool that comes with the car, and plug our fuse spur in. So here we have the fuse removed. We've used the long nose pliers to pull that out, 7.5 amp one, look. And we're going to pop that basically into the fuse spur on the spare socket, like so. It can be quite firm to push in. And then when you've got it in there, like so, there we go. connect up your bullet connector to your power cable that's dangling down underneath the dashboard currently, and then plug in your fuse spur. Sorry it's a bit dark guys, lighting under a dashboard is not ideal. There we go, that's that plugged in. And obviously tidy up all the excess cabling. Normally tuck it down behind your footwell panel here, out of the way. Next up, click your end panel back in, just watch you don't trap the cable to the airbag switch. Give it a bit of a tap back on. And now we're ready to basically try the camera. So camera up, no need to put the memory card in just yet, we're only testing it to make sure it powers. Like I say, all neatly in, looks as good as it can do, and turn your ignition on. There we have a power light in the corner, screen will come on, there we go. Now a little battery symbol there, maybe you saw that, it's there we go. Just showing you that it's charging. Can we get a decent focus on that? Yes we can. That's charging, and if we turn the ignition back off again, off it goes. And that's that. Don't forget to put your memory card in, you know, otherwise it's not going to do anything. And that guys is how you install a camera on a Seat Me. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer quickly as possible. I do get a lot of questions every day, so just bear with me. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.